2.4 centimeters. That is why this goal was disallowed. About the width of your thumb. Manchester City against West Ham. February 2020. Under the law in force that night, a shoulder in front is offside. So the goal died. Now watch the same frozen frame under a different offside law. One, a professional league has been playing since the 4th of April. Same frame, same ball, same 2.4 centimeters. Goal. Nothing moved. Your measurement did not get better. Somebody changed one word and this goal came back to life. So the question you want answered. Does that make offside better or just different? That flip took 30 seconds. What it costs takes the rest of this video. Football's offside law is one sentence, and you have never had a reason to read it. Read it now. Law 11. A player is offside if, quote, any part of the head, body, or feet is nearer to the opponent's goal line than the ball and the second last opponent. Any part. That is the trigger. A shoulder. A knee. The front of a thigh. Now the law they play in Canada. Same sentence. One word swapped. The head, body, and feet are wholly nearer to the goal line than the ball and the second last opponent. Any part becomes wholly. One word. 6 letters. Now watch what 6 letters do to the geometry. Under the current law, the machine finds 1 point on the attacker, his furthest forward part that could legally score, then 1 point on the second last defender. The goalkeeper is usually the last. 2 points, which is nearer the goal line. A point has no width, which is why the answer can be 2.4 centimeters, and the law will take it. Under the trial law, the machine stops looking for points. It looks at bodies, all of him against all of him. And your question becomes embarrassingly simple. Is there a gap? If any part of him overlaps the defender, he is on. Only when you can see daylight between them is he off. Hence the name. FIFA's wording. Onside if one scoring part is, quote, in line with or behind the second to last defender. One test measures a distance, the other looks for light. So put your 2.4 back on the pitch. On our reconstruction, the attacker's leading part is 2.4 centimeters past the defender. Under the current law, that is the whole ball game. 2.4 beats 0. Offside. Under the trial law, that shoulder is irrelevant. His chest, his hips, his trailing leg still overlapping the defender. There is no daylight, nothing close to it. To be offside there, he would have to clear the man completely, roughly a body depth further forward. Now, you know we do not hand out verdicts here. We draw the error bar, and it usually swallows the answer whole. On this call, one newspaper's analysis put the uncertainty at an estimated 13 centimeters. 13 centimeters of doubt is fatal to any 2.4 centimeter verdict you have been shown. It is nothing against a boundary a whole body away. Move our rebuild 13 centimeters the worst way, it still does not reach. So this is the one time we get to say it flatly. Under the trial law, on the published figure, that attacker is onside. Not because our measurement got precise, because the question got coarser than our error. They did not shrink the error bar. They moved the line away from it. None of this is a thought experiment, and that is what makes it worth your time. Arsene Wenger proposed the daylight rule in February 2020 as FIFA's chief of global football development. Then it sat there. 6 years. Most of them spent while you were shouting at armpit offsides. UEFA did not want it. The 4 British associations called it too radical, and 2 of those 4 have to vote yes before it can enter the laws. This February, the people who write your rules stopped arguing and let somebody play it. On the 4th of April, the Canadian Premier League kicked off under the daylight law, the first senior professional competition in the world. Wenger's own word for it. A test to, quote, better understand its impact. It has been impacting since April. 2 weeks in, it produced a goal that could not have stood in any other senior professional league in the world. 18th of April, Pacific against Halifax, a corner breaks into its second phase. A shot comes in. The goalkeeper can only parry it, and Alejandro Diaz is flush against the second last defender when the rebound drops. Flush. Shoulder to shoulder. No gap. Under the law, you watch every weekend. Some part of him is ahead and that goal dies. Under the law they were playing, there was no daylight, so there was no offside. He scored. It stood. And notice where it happened, because it is not where you or Wenger would have looked. Not a breakaway, not a through ball, on a corner. No. Every argument about this rule for 6 years has been about strikers running in behind. More space, more counterattacks. That is the picture in your head right now. 3 match weeks in, the league published what was actually changing. It was not the counterattack. Non-penalty set-piece goals, up from 0.54 a game to 0.73. Shots from set pieces, 1.65 to 2.27. Expected goals, 0.62 to 0.92. 11 matches. Hold that caveat tightly. The league flagged it themselves, and 11 matches of goals is a sample you could fit into an afternoon. The shots and the expected goals are sturdier, but the direction has a reason. If an attacker can stand shoulder to shoulder with your deepest defender, you cannot hold a line. So defenses stopped trying. The league's red, back lines starting deeper or retreating earlier, which packs more bodies into the 6-yard box, not fewer. One of their head coaches, Bobby Smirniotis, put it in a sentence. Quote, "It is a very fine line, and obviously the advantage is to the attacker. A rule written to open space in 3 weeks produced a more crowded penalty area, not a failure, just not the thing anybody was arguing about." And then, in July, the trial went somewhere much larger than Canada. The tournament you watched 3 weeks ago. 104 matches. 308 goals. On the 3rd of July, the Canadian Premier League published a review of every goal that tournament disallowed for offside. There were 24 of them. All 24 were given under the law in force. None of them is in dispute here. The league judged everyone against the law it has played since April. Its finding, 17, would, quote, "more than likely have stood." Now weigh this properly. That review was produced by the league running the trial, evaluating the trial it is running. Nobody independent has audited those 24 calls. It is an interested party's homework, and I am handing it to you as exactly that. Take it at face value anyway. Face value is remarkable. Cristiano Ronaldo against Croatia. A shoulder ahead of the second last defender. He had chipped the goalkeeper, and he just raised his hands. Davinson Sanchez, ruled off by what the review calls the length of his toe. Iran's late winner against Egypt. One more for Messi. One more for Mbappe. Add 17 to 308, and the record tournament you just watched finishes on 325. About 5.5% more football. From 6 letters. That is what one word is worth. Which brings us to the 7. They matter more than the 17. 7 of those 24 stayed disallowed under the daylight law as well. In those 7, there was a gap. You could see it. 2 rulebooks arriving at the same answer independently. We say this every time it happens, because it is the only reason to trust us the rest of the time. But the 7 proves something else. The daylight rule did not abolish the marginal offside. Somewhere in Canada this season, a striker will be a fingernail clear of a defender, and you will be arguing about it. And in that league, there is no offside machine to ask. The trial runs on football video support, a coach signaling the 4th official, an assistant's eye, and a man with a card. So let us be exact about what 6 letters bought, because the internet will tell you this fixed VAR. It did not. Wherever offside is measured by machine, it is measured the way it was in June. Every error this channel has shown you is still there. What changed is where the question sits relative to the error. Under the current law, the boundary runs through the middle of 2 overlapping bodies. the exact place where a couple of centimeters of camera slop turns your goal into a disallowed goal. The trial law pushes that boundary past the far side of the defender, into open space where nobody is standing. The measurement is as bad as it always was. It is just not being asked to do anything hard. That is a real game, and you should not let anyone talk you out of it. It is also a trade. Under the current law, a fraction of a centimeter decides who scores. Under the trial law, it decides less often, because a gap of 1 millimeter is still a gap. And when it happens, your argument will be identical. You, a freeze frame, and whether you can see light. The hairline does not go away. It gets rarer, and it moves house. Plenty of serious people think that is a bad trade, and you should hear them. Jamie Carragher, when the idea last surfaced, said daylight offside will be, quote, terrible for the game. His argument, if you cannot hold a line, you stop trying. You sit deeper. Football gets more negative, and you have just seen the first evidence in his favor from the trial itself. The backlines dropped. He may be right. A trial is not evidence that anybody won, because here's where this stands tonight. The offside law has not changed. One league is playing a different one with permission for a season. To become law, it needs 2 of the 4 British associations to raise a hand. That vote has not happened. So, back to your 2.4 centimeters. Here is a check you can run tonight on any offside graphic on your screen. Stop looking at the line. Look at the 2 bodies and look for the gap. If you can see daylight, that call is offside under both laws, and nobody anywhere would argue. If you cannot see a gap at all, you are looking at a goal one rulebook kills and another gives. And every argument that follows is about a sentence, not about a shoulder. For 6 years, that call was a measurement problem. This channel exists because measurement problems have error bars nobody shows you. It was never only a measurement problem. It was a sentence problem. 6 letters of it. They did not shrink the error bar. They moved the line away from it. And the next time a machine decides whether it can see daylight, we will be here, measuring the gap. Because in the tournament you just watched, the ball reported its own position hundreds of times a second, and the cameras watching the players ran at 50. That gap is the next one.